The Legislative Council election will take place tomorrow with special transport measures to facilitate polling. Some properties unable to remove scaffolding netting in time to meet the government's deadline. And streaming giant Netflix is buying another media powerhouse, Warner Bros. Discovery. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. The Legislative Council election is set to take place tomorrow between 7:30 a.m. and 11:30 p.m.
With all 90 seats up for grabs, this year's Legco election will see heated competition. In the 10 geographical constituencies, 51 candidates are contesting just 20 seats. This situation may be the most intense in Kowloon Central, with 6 candidates competing for 2 seats. Residents will be able to cast their votes at more than 600 polling stations across the city. For functional and geographical constituencies, residents must cast their votes at designated polling stations using poll cards mailed to them. Along with the Convention and Exhibition Center polling station for the Election Committee and 3 voting stations designated for the Police Department, the voting period will last from 7:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night. This year's election will also see the addition of designated polling stations for civil servants and healthcare personnel, as well as booths set up outside care homes. These new facilities will be open to voters from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. respectively. Owing to the recent No. 5 alarm fire at Wangfu Court in Taipo, authorities have rearranged the locations of 3 polling stations initially set up in the affected area. Voters from Kwangfuk Estate, Taipo Cow, and Taipo Market are required to cast their votes at newly allocated polling stations. Most booths will employ the use of the electronic poll register system, requiring voters to provide their identification documents, after which they will receive their ballot. This as 8 heavy rail and 6 light rail lines of the MTR will begin operations early to facilitate voters, while Kowloon Motorbus and Citybus will extend their services for several routes. Meanwhile, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department will allow residents to enter its art galleries, public swimming pools, as well as the Space Museum and Science Museum free of charge.
Chief Executive John Lee has called on all eligible voters to cast their ballots tomorrow in the Legislative Council election. Earlier today, Lee visited the polling station at the Tongcheng Sports Center and the adjacent border polling station at the Hong Kong Port Passenger Terminal of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge today. He inspected the polling station setup and encouraged staff who will work long hours tomorrow. Police officers continued their search of Taipo's Wangfu Court after the deadly blaze killed 159 people and left the whereabouts of 31 residents unknown. Saturday is also the government's deadline for buildings with renovation projects to remove scaffolding netting. Most Night reports.
Members of the Police Force Disaster Victim Identification Unit, or DVIU, returned to Wangfu Court on Saturday morning. The unit's search included Wang Chuan House, the first block that caught fire. Meanwhile, at Soi Court in Sha Tin, construction workers were still removing the green scaffolding mesh. Workers have begun to remove netting on 6 of the 9 blocks. The construction company said that they have employed more than 200 workers to handle the removal of netting on Saturday. Despite this, the company said it would require extra time to complete the removal process. This resident said that the netting must be removed as soon as possible because the longer the material stays, the greater the risk it poses to the community. He added that they have already tolerated the renovation project for more than 2 years.
The government said those unable to remove the scaffolding mesh by Saturday must provide advance notice to determine if they can be exempt from the deadline.
Soi Court Owners Corporation said they had notified authorities requesting an extension. Hong Kong has over 200 ongoing projects in private building renovation and more than 10 in public housing. As of Friday, 115 private and 18 public projects have taken down scaffold netting. Moments 9, TVB News.
The government said that as of Friday, emergency funds consisting of $10,000 have been distributed to 1,930 households in Wangfu Court in Taipo. And the government's relief fund has accumulated $3 billion. Speaking on a radio program, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mack said $2.7 billion in donations have been received. Combined with the $300 million contributed by the government, the fund now totals $3 billion, which will be used to provide long-term assistance to disaster victims. The Office for Safeguarding National Security of the central government in Hong Kong said it has summoned several foreign news organizations, their leaders, and journalists in Hong Kong for talks regarding the recent false information and smear campaign surrounding the Taipo fire and the Legislative Council election.
The office pointed out that recent reports by some foreign media regarding Hong Kong have disregarded facts, spread false information, distorted and smeared the government's disaster relief and post-disaster recovery efforts. They have also attacked and interfered with the Legislative Council elections, incited social division and confrontation, hurt the feelings of Hong Kong citizens, and misled the international community's understanding. The office expressed serious concern about this. It emphasized that no media outlet may use the name of press freedom to interfere in China's internal affairs or Hong Kong affairs. Foreign news organizations in Hong Kong have a legal obligation to abide by the Basic Law, the Hong Kong National Security Law, the National Security Ordinance, and avoid any violation of legal red lines.
Netflix has struck a deal to buy Warner Bros. Discovery in a $72 billion deal that would bring together two of the biggest players in television and film. Tracy Furness has more.
Netflix has sent shockwaves through Hollywood by announcing the multi-billion US dollar agreement to acquire Warner Bros., including its films and television studios, the century-old home of Superman, Casablanca, and also the more recent Harry Potter.
Netflix would also gain Warner's legacy film studio, marking a notable shift for its current presence in movie theaters today. And on top of all of that, there could be tremendous regulatory hurdles. Analysts stress that it will be a bumpy road and that politics could be at play as the companies try to get the green light from the Trump administration.
Not included in the deal are networks like CNN and Discovery Channel. Beyond TV and movie production, the merger would bring two of the streaming world's biggest names, Netflix and HBO Max, under the same ownership. If the two platforms remain separate subscriptions, users may encounter more bundle promotions and boost content libraries more broadly.
If the deal goes through, some experts say that consumers could possibly feel price relief in their streaming budgets. A big unknown is whether HBO Max and Netflix would become a mega streamer of sorts. But even if the two remained separate subscriptions, sharing the same parent company could mean more bundle promotions.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
French President Emmanuel Macron left China after a 3-day state visit, but not before engaging in some ping-pong diplomacy. Nasfi Karim with more.
French President Emmanuel Macron paid a visit to the Sichuan Provincial Gymnasium, where he visited French athletes competing in the International Table Tennis Mixed Team World Cup. The president even picked up a table tennis bat for a short rally with players from both the French and Chinese national teams, which included Olympic champions. Earlier, after a meeting with President Xi Jinping, Macron spent the afternoon focused on youth engagement and people-to-people exchanges. At Sichuan University, Macron delivered a speech and engaged with Chinese students on global issues and the future of bilateral cooperation. The city holds historic significance in bilateral ties between China and France. In 1981, Chengdu and the French city of Montpellier established a friendship city relationship, becoming the first pair of sister cities between the two countries. The Macrons departed Chengdu on Friday evening, concluding what was seen as a fruitful trip to China on his third visit to the country. It was a reciprocal visit following President Xi's historic trip to France last year that marked the 60th anniversary of China-France diplomatic relations. Former French Prime Minister Jean-Pierre Raffarin, also in Chengdu, said the meeting between Xi and Macron held great importance because it marks a new path forward. He said the French side had 3 missions for this trip: strengthen trade partnerships, develop a vision for global governance and reforming multilateralism, and strengthen cultural cooperation between the two countries. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
In its latest national security strategy report, the U.S. said it does not support any unilateral change to cross-strait relations. The document also stressed the need to rebalance Washington's trade relations with Beijing and avoid over-reliance on the latter. The 33-page document stressed Taiwan's leading position as a chip producer and its strategic position on the first island chain. The report also noted the island's significance as it is situated in the South China Sea, where 1/3 of global trade passes through annually. China has repeatedly said the Taiwan question is a domestic issue and does not tolerate external interference. And still ahead, head of Ukraine's armed forces does not want to give up territory to Russia. Donald Trump gets a peace prize from FIFA. And over $100 million in a jackpot for tonight's Mark 6 draw. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump's advisors and Ukrainian officials say they'll meet for a third day of talks Saturday after making progress on finding agreement on a security framework for post-war Ukraine. But the commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces said it will be unacceptable to give up territory to Russia. Tracy Furness has more.
We hope ours will end
In a
as
rare
well.
interview with Sky News, Ukraine's General Alexander Syrsky accused Russia of using US-brokered peace talks as a cover to try to take more Ukrainian land.
First of all, as you correctly said, we are military people. Our main mission is to defend our land, our country, and our population. Naturally, for us, it is unacceptable to simply give up territory. What does it even mean to hand over our land? This is precisely why we're fighting. So we do not give up our territory. In my understanding, a just peace is peace without preconditions, without giving up territory. It means stopping along the current line of contact. That means stop,
ceasefire, after that negotiations, without any conditions.
This, as the UN's envoy for Ukraine said Thursday, there's fears the war is nowhere near an end.
On the ground in Ukraine, and I travel around a lot, including to the eastern regions, it doesn't feel like we're anywhere close to a ceasefire. The war continues unabated, and there is really significant destruction going on the one hand of infrastructure in the energy side, but also people's lives are being damaged. People are being killed and injured. So it's relentless in those terms. And there have been moments of cautious optimism. At the moment, I don't sense any optimism that we're getting closer to ending this terrible tragedy.
Meanwhile, concluding his state visit to India, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Indian counterpart Draupadi Murmu and attended a ceremonial reception together with his Russian delegation. Putin arrived in India Thursday for a visit aimed at bolstering bilateral and economic ties between the two countries. At the 23rd Russia-India summit, the two countries finalized an economic cooperation program until 2030, which will boost annual trade to $100 billion by that time. They also emphasized strong energy ties. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Football's world governing body, FIFA, awarded Donald Trump its first peace prize for efforts to stop wars in Africa and the Middle East. David Garrett reports.
President Trump, a magnet for reporters at the World Cup draw. The US will co-host this summer's soccer extravaganza with Mexico and Canada. Trump was asked for his expectations for Team USA.
People feel they have a little bit of a shot. It's pretty stiff competition, but I would say they would have a small chance.
A tournament Trump was keen to talk up as he was joined on the red carpet by FIFA's president Gianni Infantino.
I'm ready for it, and they're ready for it. And Johnny, you know, has done a fantastic job with FIFA. And we're looking to have, you know, we have already set records with ticket sales. I don't think there's ever been anything like it in any sport.
The two side by side as Trump dismissed fears over crime, having said at one point he'd move matches away from any of the 11 US host venues. Now the president predicting a peaceful World Cup. FIFA awarded Trump its new Peace Prize. Critics say the accolade was invented purely to put Trump in the limelight.
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
I'm gonna wear it right now.
Okay, let me hold. Fantastic. Excellent.
This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Johnny and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The world is a safer place now. The United States 1 year ago was not doing too well. And now I have to say we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we're going to keep it that way. Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great time. And Johnny, a tremendous honor. Thank you.
David Garrett, TVB News.
Tonight's Mark 6 lottery carries a jackpot of around $120 million if won by a single ticket. The betting station on Hankow Road, Jimsha Chui, was busy. Some punters said they came here to try their luck. The Jockey Club said as there were no first prize winners for the past 9 Mark 6 draws, a jackpot of more than $93 million has been rolled over to the Saturday evening draw. In the aftermath of the devastating fire at Wangfu Court in Taipo, over 200 animals were rescued from the scene. The Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals have been working to contact their owners and facilitate the safe return of these beloved pets. Celine Chan has more.
Many residents of Wangfu Court lost everything overnight amid the blaze that showed no mercy to anyone. What their hearts cling to are not just their families, but also those who are family, their animal companions.
我哋都會盡力嘅。係啊，當我自己食緊嘢嘅時候，我就諗到我屋企隻動物喺屋企冇嘢食。
Life knows no hierarchy in its worth, and every breath counts. Through a relentless rescue effort spanning 4 days and 3 nights, an animal concern group and volunteers received nearly 300 inquiries about pets, and more than 100 small lives were rescued.
知道佢中意梳毛毛啊，幫佢輕輕梳下佢啲毛毛，佢都係非常之開心嘅。
Mrs. Law, a resident of Wangyang House, once had 2 cat brothers, but only one is found.
唔開心都佔多部㗎啦，因為
She said to recover even one of the cats is a miracle, and it has slightly softened her daughter's sorrow. The Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals reminds guardians of the pets to look out beyond the visible, as some wounds are hidden beneath the fur.
因為有啲問題我哋未必可以肉眼睇得出啦。
Marsha Chen from the SPCA said pets can carry memories for a long time. Owners can check if their habits or behavior have changed. The unseen scars trace themselves not only across paws, but also across the human hands that hold them.
People lost by accident and suicide and homicide and pet loss, and it's actually a kind of grief that is not easily understood by people, especially those without animals in their life. So that would probably enhance the difficulties of the pet owners when they have to deal with their grief and bereavement at the moment. The most important things that we can provide for people who are grieving are actually active listening and companionship. So what that means is, try not to say too much and try not to say a lot of things to comfort them. Because people, when they go through this kind of intense grief, they need time to think about what happened, to process the information.
Those who walk this path of mending need not carry the quiet alone. The SPCA advises guardians who are experiencing emotional distress to seek support proactively, such as by calling psychological helplines. Celine Chan, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thanks for watching.